Welcome to this special episode of Pragmatism in Practice, a podcast from Thoughtworks where we share stories of practical approaches to becoming a modern digital business. I'm Karen Dunville and I'm here with Sue Anderson, Head of Product at Trade Me. Hi Sue, how are you?
I'm good, Karen. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for being with us today. As Head of Product at Trade Me, I understand you're focused on consumer product and product practice across the business verticals. Can you give our listeners some brief context on Trade Me and its customer-centric ethos?
For sure. Trade Me is New Zealand's largest and most trusted online marketplace and classifieds website. So to give you an idea of the size, every day we have about 650,000 Kiwi visit the website to browse over our 7 million items. So there's everything on there, from cars to properties. You can look for your latest job or clothing. So no matter what you're after, Trade Me is the place to be. Trade Me's been around for about 24 years. And since then, we've evolved into this dynamic and diverse platform that connects millions of buyers and sellers across Aotearoa, New Zealand. So when I talk about being customer-led, it's deeply rooted in our purpose, and it's actually one of our values. So our value is customer aroha. And I should probably explain that aroha is Te Reo Maori, which is our Indigenous language. And it means things like love and compassion and kind of that empathy. So for us, it's about really winning our customers' hearts and for them to choose us over our competitors. And so really for us, that speed to customer value is like super important because we want to stay at the forefront of our consumer preferences and when they're kind of hearts, when they need things to come to Trade Me.
And so you mentioned that you love spending time in the uncomfortable problem space, figuring out the right problems to solve. What problems did you uncover at the beginning of your journey in this role?
Yeah, I think the first thing is why we love talking about the problem space is we love like solving customer problems and we're always keen to solve it for our customers. So we rush to solutions. So actually holding back and spending time in that problem space is actually really hard. And so it was really important for us that we just paused. And so really what we were trying to understand is where should we start? Where are we now? And for us, it's super important. A third of our team is in product and engineering. So we want to make sure that we're investing in the right customer problems and we're being efficient and effective in how we and where we go. So when we looked back in 2022, we were basically looking at where are we? How does it feel? And it was like, we got things done, we were moving, but at times there could be some really big obstacles and challenges and it just didn't feel like we were like running at our best. And so, yeah, where I was probably going to go with, it's actually probably worth us starting with how Trade Me is structured because that probably adds to the complexity and helps explain where we were working or what we were working with. And so we're structured in 4 main business units. We call them verticals. And so we have 3 classified space verticals. So that's a property, motors and jobs. And then we have overall the marketplace, which is more where you go to buy your new or secondhand items. Each of those verticals also has a B2B and a B2C element. And for motors and marketplace, we've also got a C2C element. So there's that kind of direct trading of customers. In addition to that, our teams are broken up. They've all got product and design and engineering and kind of marketing, sales and CX. So we at times could work quite siloed, but also we have to be able to work across each other because our customers aren't just one vertical. Our customers use all of Trade Me. So over time, when we started looking at where should we go with our practice, we realized that we'd evolved our own ways of doing product in certain ways. And so our practice had become a bit fragmented and lacked consistency. And one reflection I had is just looking across the teams, we had different ways of doing product roadmaps. And so when you were trying to get an overall portfolio view, it was quite confusing. And even the teams had to explain things to each other. And then if you're a senior stakeholder, you had to learn like 4 or 5 different ways of reading roadmaps. So it became quite labor intensive. And so there was kind of really just simple things like that we started picking up as areas that we could focus on. And so what did we do to start with? We wanted to understand where we were, but also we want to understand how that felt for our people, because it's actually quite confusing as well if you don't really understand what's going on and how do people feel. And so in reality, what we'd realized is our product practice had just atrophied over time. And so really for us, we wanted to explore about how being more deliberate with our practice could increase our customer value. And so to approach that, we first wanted to start with where were we? How do our people feel? Where's their strengths and where's the opportunities? And where do we go next? And so that was where we started to talk to Thoughtworks to come and help us understand where actually are we and what does good look like? What does great look like? Because we didn't quite know. And it was kind of, we didn't want to mark our own homework and do all those kind of things. And so we leveraged that product practice maturity framework, and we completed this broad but shallow assessment. And that really helped us understand where our current state was, or our starting position. And so when you asked about what problems did we uncover, I think the first thing was, it's quite hard to do a sort of maturity assessment on yourselves. It's actually, you have to be quite brave and kind of take your leaders with you. And so the good news is we found out it wasn't awful. There was nothing like horrendous that we had to focus on, but there was some really good opportunity areas of where we could really excel and kind of build into that kind of customer side. And so for us, the 4 that we focused on were learning from customers. So we found that we're great at listening to customers and designing for their needs. But when it came to developing our strategy and our plans, at times we referred to customers as users, and there's a big group of customers rather than what is that specific segment, what is that focus. And so by being more precise on who that customer is, it helps our teams to kind of take that kind of thinner slice of value and really get to understand that customer and that problem. In addition, we looked at experimentation. We do a lot of experimentation, but we tended to do it in a kind of short time frame and had a commercial outcome on it. So if it didn't hit that commercial outcome, we failed the experiment. And then we were like, no, let's stop with that. Let's discontinue that. Let's move on. But actually what we have switched to is actually focusing on the learnings and helping increase that confidence of solving the problem for the customer. And that helps us be a bit more scrappy in our experimentation and just sort of doing lots more and moving at pace. Why that's quite important to me is this cross-functional synergies and how do we work. And we really found that each team worked really well individually, and they were great, and they were just driving, getting the kind of results they were looking for. But when you change the people in the team, we had to kind of start again and learn how we all collaborate, and that really slowed down the pace of the teams. In addition to that, we were quite product and engineering centric, and we didn't really think about, actually, you don't always have to build your way out of the problem. And sometimes it's actually marketing and sales or CX that can help you. And so for us, it's been really bringing those teams into more of our product discovery, not just at the delivery. And then just wrapping it all up was, how do we communicate that strategy, our strategy, in that kind of consistent way so all our teams can get behind it. And really, we worked on really connecting that kind of customer story in our strategy to drive that kind of enthusiasm through our storytelling.
Terrific. A lot of learnings there. And having gone through that process, why would you say it's valuable to spend that time exploring the challenges rather than rushing into solutions?
Yeah, I mean, basically, starting with the maturity assessment gave us a really good story and how do we get buy-in with our senior leadership. So we were able to set the scene and go, this is where we are today. This is the opportunities and where we can move. And so it was really important about building that story with them. And so we didn't want to go, by doing that, we could narrow in on key problems that we could see that we could drive results in a way where we thought was that kind of thinnest value, rather than trying to go really broad. So I'd like to say we apply good product practice to our actual product practice. And so we are actually living the talk, basically, that we were going through. And the approach we took, sort of by identifying that kind of longer term vision and that kind of target state, we were able to kind of go, what's the each step should we take to move forwards? And so we could then keep getting investment as we went forward. So we basically did an assessment, we ran a pilot, we proved out value, we increased the number of teams we worked with, we proved out more value, we continued. And what was really important for us is when we first started, I said, hey to my other heads of product, I need a team or two that will give me 20 to 30% of their product time to help work on practice. That wasn't very popular because everyone's like, hang on a minute, what am I giving up? And so by able to say, tell me where we could help with your team. So is it a speed thing or maybe more of a how are they working with marketing? We could actually focus on that. And so in the end, what we proved is by working on practice, we didn't actually use up time just for practice. We improved the actual value the teams were delivering, which was great because by the time it came to that kind of scaling of the project, I had people asking for us to work with their team. So it was just a really good way of getting that kind of buy-in.
And yeah, just talking about others outside of your own team, how much did you learn from others, in other parts of the business or other areas of expertise?
And yeah, first of all, it was good to get Thoughtworks in with us because it was good to get that fresh eyes and kind of get that different opinions. And so what I learned from myself is that it was good to be challenged by the Thoughtworks team, because sometimes you think you do things for a real reason, and it's those people, when they hold up a mirror, ask you why, you then pause and go, oh yeah, you have a good point. So that was really helpful in just helping question where we go. From us working with the marketing teams, it's really about bringing them much more close to the customer problem. And it's not just, we built a product, can you go and do some marketing and get some people to use it? But it's actually understanding, well, actually, you might not even need to build anything, because through marketing, we can actually probably drive that engagement and help you hit those outcomes. So that was really important for us to get the teams to kind of broaden and kind of learn that approach. I think the other thing which was important for our teams was embedding coaches with them. So they didn't feel at any time that it wasn't anything to be like assessed or you're not good enough, or it was nothing like that. It was more, how do we take the learnings from each of the teams? Because we had pockets of greatness. Like, there were some really great things going on. We had one team that's an amazing experimentation, but how can we take their learnings and kind of share them across the business so other teams could learn? And so by having coaches in there, they could actually see that and kind of go, hey, you should be sharing this, and kind of fostering that kind of approach and that collaboration.
Sort of like that cross-pollination type approach.
Yeah.
How about working with customer-facing teams, not just product engineering? How did you do that to create customer value?
I think the first thing I'd say from a product management perspective, it is really about spending time listening and learning from others, not just sitting at your own desk kind of reading. And so for us, building that relationship with that kind of wider teams and understanding what our customers saying, where's the pain points coming, and going through that. So we kind of broke out and looked at different teams. So we've got our marketing team who are kind of helping us. How are we bringing customers to site? How are we driving them in? What's the important channels? How are we helping customers through their journeys and kind of nudging them and understanding that? We spend a really amount of time working with our kind of sales and our CX teams, because they talk to customers every day. So they're able to help us really understand, build empathy, and bring those pain points. And so really bringing those teams in at the beginning to kind of sell the story as the teams in kickoff and discovery really enriches that kind of empathy points. And then what we've done as well is even bring in like our trust and safety teams to understand, why do you need this information, or how does this help, and what this is. So as we design solutions, we're actually taking into consideration all those different aspects. And so how do we bring them together? I think we have how we invite them to be part of our team. So in our kind of product and engineering groups, we have a group of a product manager, a PO, a kind of lead software engineer, and a designer. We call them a diamond, like most other teams you might hear, we might call them a trio or a quad. But the idea is that this is a group who kind of lead that kind of value stream or the squad and where that's going. And the team actually decided to call them themselves the diamond, and reflection that they can grow and kind of bring in marketing and sales at times, and that a diamond's multifaceted. So I think it's quite cute, but I think it's a really good reflection of how their teams have kind of evolved and realized they need to bring those kind of wider teams with them on that journey. So a couple of examples of how we've brought that to life is with our onboarding journey. So we're looking at revising our full sign-up journey that we have at TradeMe. And so we're still working through building that out at the moment, but actually we're able to work with our marketing team, and our lifecycle emails are starting to roll out. So we're already being able to send emails and understand how customers react and driving towards that. Can that lifecycle comms drive that kind of conversion or that engagement alone, or actually do you have to do some parts through the journey? So we're going to start learning already, even before we've done some build. So I think that's quite a cool way to show how teams can work together to complete the goal. And then from a kind of a B2B side in our motors dealers, we used to approach a kind of launch as we would package up a number of features and launch it as a big bang on a certain date as an MVP. And this turned out, it was a bit stressful for the squad because it's quite a lot of work to get through. Our customer support team had to be ready to kind of handle it all. And then at times we would just go, yep, that's good. Right, let's move on to the next thing. So it was kind of a bit nerve-wracking. But what we did was we actually worked with the sales team, got their buy-in, and worked with the team then to break that kind of big feature release into smaller features. And so what we got to is by thin slicing that value, they were able to release that sooner, experiment and learn, and even bring in dealers and engage them and run pilots with our customers. So I think overall, by bringing in our customer facing teams closer, we're able to make those kind of faster decisions and be super outcome focused rather than just feature focused. So it kind of builds that full picture.
Great. Get more value to market sooner.
Yeah, totally.
And from an internal point of view, has TradeMe found value in creating an environment where their employees can develop their own product craft?
Simply put, yes. So we didn't really invest in it as much before we started this. And then what we realized is actually it's infectious, and our teams were curious and they wanted to learn and grow and do better from themselves and improve their own practices. And so there's a couple of pieces of work that have emerged from this. So we've established a community of practice. And so that's where we brought together our agile practice leads and our product practice lead, and also a wider team who are interested in kind of driving this work forwards. And they're helping kind of facilitate how do we share the learnings broader and roll it out, and where's the next steps. In addition to that, internally, we have a 10% dedicated learning time. So each TradeMe staff member can say, where am I going to focus? And so this is a great opportunity to kind of go, well, actually let's help evolve your practice and see where you want to go. We've built out a toolkit online, so you can go and if you want to figure out how to do thing value slicing or kind of some discovery or experimentation to really help teams. And what we've seen is actually, even yesterday, I was sharing those with some of our marketing team because they were like, oh yeah, we could really use this for our practices. And so it's great to see that you can sort of solve similar problems just by using the same kind of toolkit. So that was a real win for me. And then finally, from a product manager's perspective, we have two parts. We have a skills and capabilities kind of matrix that we work with each of our product managers to identify their own opportunity and growth areas to invest in. And then we all come together as a product group, as a guild. So we'll bring in kind of external speakers or even just work together on a lean coffee to help solve our problems. So one thing they're definitely working through at the moment is what is the future of roadmaps and how should they look? And so you can bring that kind of the bigger group in to help you solve that.
Sounds like a lot of great initiatives there for employees, a lot of incentives. TradeMe has always been very customer focused. How would you say this has helped transform the business?
I think for me, the biggest impact is seeing our teams really come together to focus on solving those big customer problems. By focusing on a strategy and helping our teams understand what it means for customers and kind of embodying that empathy, we're really starting to see that under that kind of motivation of driving for value and kind of releasing as much as we can, as soon as we can, and really learning for customers. And another thing for us has been quite good is our experiments are starting to get scrappy and we're gaining confidence in our learning. So previously our experimentation would be quite polished, but it's okay. It's scrappy. We're trying to learn and move on. So for me, that pace is a really good example of where we're going, and we're not chasing that perfection. And then, so really overall, like investing in our framework and helping our team's mindset, change their mindset, and then investing in our practices, we're sort of bringing this greater consistency in how we do product at TradeMe and really building that foundation that puts our customer at the heart of what we do. And it's really important to keep fostering that and kind of developing it because it's a practice, not a kind of perfect at the end of the day. And so we keep listening to each other and learning and evolving.
That's terrific. Thank you. That's all we have time for today, Sue. It's been really interesting talking to you, and it sounds like you've certainly learnt a lot and evolved the product practice at TradeMe. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Pragmatism in Practice. If you'd like to listen to similar podcasts, please visit us at thoughtworks.com/podcasts. Or if you enjoyed the show, help spread the word by rating us on your preferred podcast platform.